Okay, I don't see anybody with me live at the moment, but that's okay. I apologize in advance for the last video. I got a little lengthy, and also the first part of it where I was testing all the varnishes on the vinyl did not go real well. So I may cut that part out just so there's not so much to weed through because I put it on blank vinyl. So what I did was I went back at the end of that video, and like I said, I'm probably going to edit it down, but I went back and I painted a little piece of vinyl with some golden fluid paints, and then put the varnishes over the top of that so that we would have a better um, base to view this by. So here's my little piece of vinyl. So what we have here is the Xodus matte varnish, the BC Paints satin matte, the Irresistables matte varnish, and the original formula Genesis varnish. And then right down in this little corner is the paint that I painted on here in green with nothing on it. So if you tilt it, you can see how shiny, see that little corner is? That's how shiny, right there in that corner is how shiny this paint was that I put on here for my base, which is the golden fluid acrylic paint. I just put that on there, that air dry paint, because that was a good one to test it on, and you can put matte varnishes over air dry paint. So where I put the matte, whoa, I hit my knee. Where I put the matte varnish over the paint, right here in this box that says X, that was the Exodus matte varnish, which is, let me show y'all that one again, which is this one. Alrighty, that comes from McPherson's. So you can see it's matte. Now you're going to get a little light bounce off on all of these just because I've got such bright lights in here, but you can tell the difference between that sheen and light bounce off. So this one is very matte, and it's very smooth. I like the way it feels, very smooth. The next one in this little box is the BC, and they call that satin matte. I think it is satin matte. Let me pull it out here. Yeah, or semi-matte. I'm sorry. Semi-matte. Is that, can you read it? There we go. BC semi-matte. So that one it's really matte. It may be slightly less matte, but to me it looks pretty matte. I'm really honestly, it exceeded my expectations based on the title. Now some of these varnishes, any of them can look different on different vinyls, so that may be part of it too, but it looks pretty matte. So there you go. And then this one is the Irresistibles in the middle, and it is matte as well, about the same. I don't, maybe, and you know, application once again can make a difference. I may have gotten one on a little thicker than the other, but it looks pretty matte. And then there's your original Genesis. So if you look at all of them in comparison to the little corner here, and that's a good way to look at it right there at that tilt, they're all equally matte. They're all matte. So I think it's just going to be a matter of which one you like the best, which one you think has the best pricing, which I have to go back and look on that. I honestly don't know which one gives you the more bang for your buck. And like I said, I'll know more after I've tested them on more different kinds of vinyls and whatnot. So that's my little test of the matte varnishes. The next thing I'm going to show you is the piece of vinyl that we did the BC paint testing on. So with the BC paint testing, and it's not going to show up quite as well maybe in here. Let me turn it this way. But there's your color. There's the red. There's the blue that was blotchy because I was having a hard time. The BC paint, I was having a hard time with getting the color mixed in just odorless, well, citrus, I'm sorry, thinner to get it mixed smooth. But these all heat set just fine. And then this one here that looks more smooth, what I did in that one in the last video was I mixed it with the Exodus thinner, which their thinning medium is a clear thinning medium that they made to mimic the original Genesis thinning medium. So I don't know, I meant to go back and look during our break. I I think I'm almost positive that that BC Paints has their own thinning medium, and I did not get any. So I would say that if they do, definitely get some if you're going to use their entire paint system, because using this paint in just citrus thinner like I use, or a watery like odorless thinner, they're very hard to melt out. I did not like the way they performed that way, I'll be honest with you. So if you're using some kind of a thinner, like a Genesis thinner, or I think Esther may have a thinner that goes with her paints, I'm not sure. But anyway, if you're using the Xodus thinner, it works really well with those. So there's that. And then the last thing we did on the last video was I primed this, and this has got an eye for the Irresistible Heat Set paint, and I primed this with their primer. So what I'm going to do now is paint with their paints on this and then heat set it, and we're going to see how their paints perform with just a simple citrus thinner. So let me turn my camera around so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. Trying to get this all in the camera here. Bring it down some. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to give nobody a bouncy headache. Okay, so here we have I have my palette, and then I have these colors that I got from Irresistibles, and this is their little starter kit. It was like $109, and you got these colors. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colors, 10 colors, and a primer and a matte varnish. So let's see. I'm not going to go through every color here, but let's just pull out some of the ones that I think it actually came with 9 colors, because I also ordered a strawberry blush because I wanted to see that color. So that's what it was. So, and then there's a vein color. And then some people really like their flesh color. So we're going to, I don't use a lot of flesh color. I use almost none. I'm more of a primary color family painter, but we're going to play with the flesh a little bit just to see what it looks like. That's a red wine. That's a primary red. And another thing that's interesting about these paints is when you get them, your jars are not going to be full. You think you're getting this jar completely full, you're not. And she sent a little thing with it that says that you may notice that some of your jars may not be completely full because they're sold by weight, not by volume. So they weigh the paint, and it's the weight of a quarter fluid ounce, not the volume of this jar. So off the top, that was one thing that I will say they're more pricey for what you get, maybe. But then the Genesis newer formulas have been very pricey too. Okay, so let's try some of this stuff. Said I was going to start with flesh, so let's start with flesh. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm using Eco House. Extra mild citrus thinner is my thinner of choice. It doesn't give me allergy problems like odorless mineral spirits does. And I've got some in a little squirt bottle here that I'm using. So we're going to start with a little bit of the flesh color on the palette. I'm going to put a few drops of thinner in it. Might need to bring this closer so y'all can see more. Still trying to figure this out. Alrighty. Is that too much? Maybe there. Alright. Still trying to figure out what's the right angle to get you out where you can see. It's not really going to be a good angle either. Sorry, I know this is annoying. Okay. So this is the flesh color. It's very white based, I can already tell you that. So this is not, it's not, it doesn't just dissolve right away. I'm probably going to need to add a little more thinner to that. Oh, let me open that up. Oh, you know what? I grabbed my alcohol. I'm so sorry. Let's start over. I did not mean to do that. No wonder it was acting weird. We won't be doing that. That's why it's good to label these things. Although Genesis Paint said you can paint with alcohol, and I've tried it, but it's just that it evaporates so fast. But we don't want to use alcohol. All right. Citrus thinner. Get it right, Angie. Try it again. I'll just go over here to another well. There we go. That's dissolving a little better. So you got to work at it. This none of these that I've tried so far have dissolved as fast as the Genesis did. All right, there's that. Kind of hard to get it going here. It's a little, this one has a bit of a gritty sound to it as well. All right, let me get a wedge. Here we go, wedge. So if I were going to do the pouncing of the flesh, I'm going to paint it on my wedge. We're going to start on this end. Not seeing a lot of color there, but maybe if I paint it on, I can see it, and then I'll pounce over it. Not seeing a lot of color change with that flesh, but I'm not going to waste my time. I can see it on the wedge, so I know it's there. So it's an uber translucent flesh, I guess. I'll put it on a little bit thicker and let that dry. Maybe once it's heat set, it'll show up better. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to figure that out. So the next color I'm going to try is, let's try this red wine. That looks like it would make a nice crease color. So that's how much you get in that jar. It's really a half a jar, basically, that you get in these things. That's a pretty color. Okay. I'm use the other end of this wedge that I had a while ago. So even though you can't really see the flesh, I'll put down at the bottom, you can see where it's wet. So I'm going to just go right next to it with the red wine. And that color is, I'm going to just dip my wedge in it just because I'm trying to hurry. That color is very pretty. So I'm going to be honest with you. This acts just like the BC paints I just played with. This also has a little bit of a graininess to it, specklediness to it. but it is nice and translucent. There's that. And you'll see that would show up better on them. I don't think these either one are as pigmented as Genesis, because I think if I put that much Genesis on there, I would be seeing a lot more color than that. But it is showing up. Okay, so what's next? Let's try this vein blue. Light vein blue, or light blue vein. Now this one's got, it looks kind of oily down in there, like it needs to be stirred up. So I'm going to get a toothpick. It's like there's a little separation going on. Once again, you see what's in the jar. It's about half. Not quite half. Alright, put that on there. That's a nice vein color, though. It's got that blue-green. It's not just blue, which I like that kind of vein color myself. So this brush I'm about to use, I just am now cleaning it, but it's stained from one of the other paints I've used, so just don't pay any mind to that. I don't have any color on it. Alright. Okay, there's the vein blue. Let me get a wedge on this side of the wedge. Light blue vein, that's what that's called. Okay. So I'm going to put that on the next little stripe here. I need more color than that. So they look very rich in the palette, but when you put it on the vinyl, it's very, very faint. Now some people are uber thinners, like they uber thin their coloring down before they paint with it, and so if you're one of those, you won't notice any different. You'll like it. But for people like me coming off of air dry paint who are used to something a little more rich going on the thing, you're gonna have to work with this to get used to it. So that's made a faint, you can see, like for a blue undertone, a faint difference, but it's not, you saw I just put all that in there. It is not, it's not uber pigmented. And look at the palette, so you can see a little grainy there too. Interesting. I'm going to cut that little piece off of the wedge so I can use the other end of it. Let's try the red. That's not red. That's that strawberry blush I bought. Well, let's just use it. We'll do that. Let's stick that one in the thinner. I'm going to go ahead and stir this one up. This is also very pretty. They look beautiful in the jar. The colors do. Oops, be careful, it's stringy. Wipe that up. So this is a strawberry blush color. It's a pretty color. It's a pink, a strawberry pink color. I'm splattering it a little bit. All right. There's that color. And I want you to see See how you can still see the little bits of pigment greens? So it could be that these and the BC paints are very close to being the same thing. I don't know. Maybe just different formulations of the same type stuff. It's hard to say, but I'm just going to, they're both doing the same with the pigments. It's not, I'm not sure. See how it went kind of grainy on the thing? Can you see that? I don't know if the glare is showing up. But anyway, I'm going to just dip this down in there so I can get more color on it. So it looks kind of speckledy on here if you don't get it mixed up good. I'm having a hard time getting this to show up. Let me go try turning this light off over here. Maybe I've just got too much light going in here. Alrighty, let's see. Tilt it back. You can only see hints of color there. They're not real dark, but let's see. Which one else did I not do? Primary red. Red is a color we all want to make sure we get a nice good red. Here's your primary red. I'm going to put it right here. It does. Some of these looked more oily inside than others. This one's more creamy, so I can't tell you about that either. As to, it's thicker. I don't know why some of them seem to have more oil in them. Maybe it's the kind of pigment requires it. I don't know. Definitely got that gritty sound. All right, let's see. Wedge. Now you see how much I'm putting on that wedge, which is a good bit. And I'm putting it next to that pink. I'm going to turn the lights off here in a minute before I go put this in the oven so I can show y'all. This is going right next to the pink, so I'm just dipping it right down in there. Once again, it's very faint coloring. We got yellow, blue, an olive purple, burnt umber. Let's see what burnt umber looks like. Rinse out some brushes. It's funny, over here in my thing where I've been rinsing my brushes, the pigments have been settling to the bottom off of the brushes too. And then you got clear thinner on top. That's the burnt umber. I turn it where y'all can see. Okay, go to the other end of this wedge. Interesting, it's kind of a brown. Well, like a neutral brown almost. All right, where's my... I'm just going to go right there. I'm just dipping it down in there to get more color. I'm only going to go halfway because I'm going to try something. Here's the burnt umber at the top half here. All these are very, very, very minimal color transfer on here. Very translucent. Alright, I'll take pictures when I get done. So for the last little corner there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this eyelid purple, and just out of curiosity, I'm going to mix this with some of this thinning medium over here. There's that. So you see that toothpick's just got a little bit on it. I don't have a lot. Let me clean me off a brush. I want it looks cleaner. That one's been soaking a bit. Get some thinning medium. So this is the Xodus thinning medium that I'm going to plunk back in here. That there. Then we're going to mix the two together. Oh, make sure I don't get any brown. I think that was just stained too. All right. So this is the Irresistables Heat Set Paint, and I'm mixing some of the Xodus thinning medium in with it. And once again, that does really well. See, that makes a nice creamy mixture like what we're used to with the old Genesis thinner. I'm going to paint it on my wedge. I'm going to put that down here in the bottom, and immediately you get more color. Look at that. Now, granted, you're not seeing it real good on this. I'm gonna tilt my camera around in a minute and see if I can get better. I'll see if I can put it on a little thicker. That lets me build a thicker color. All right, let me see if I can turn the camera around this way. No. Maybe if I tilt it up. There we go. Trying to get this at an angle where y'all can see what I did. Alright, I'm going to heat set that anyway, and take pictures at the end so y'all can see it. I'm not going to run out on you right now, because the only other thing I want to do while I've got you guys sitting here with your attention on me is I wanted to take this one that I did the BC paints on. Since it's already been heat set, I'm going to go ahead, since we got a little color there, and I'm going to put the Xodus thick medium across it and the satin tech so y'all can see those two. Those are the other two I hadn't tested for y'all. Let me get I want to get a brush with a little texture to it that I haven't used for anything else. Let's see. Maybe this will work. I mean, I've used it, but not here. All right, so let me turn this down again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take the thick medium. You can see how thick that is. This is the Xodus thick medium. And I'm going to take this, since the blue showed the color the best, I'm going to turn it that way and run it down. So I'm going to go and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's going to have a little bit of texture line. See those lines? So there we get some texture with the thick medium. I got to go fast because my battery's going dead on my camera now, my phone. Let me rinse this out and let me do the other one for you right quick. And what I'm going to do is turn this video off after this, go heat set everything, and then take some pictures and post them in the comments. And then I'm going to edit the videos and put them on my Facebook pages. So let's see, this one is the satin text. So this one's going to have texture and be satin, and it's a little more creamy. This is what I like to use to texture hair. In the past I've used this, but we'll see how that, if that one comes out more matte, I may start trying it some. So we're going to run it down. So I'm going to just leave it thick like I would if I was doing hair. So there's the... So I'm going to heat set those two, so that we can remember which was which. This is the thick over here, and this is the satin texture over here. So I'm going to do it like that, so you can see. So thick and satin texture, and I'll take pictures of this for y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. Thank you for those that have put up with all my nonsense of trying to get set up. And hopefully we're learning together. My synopsis, if you were to ask me at this point, what should you use? What do I like? I don't have an opinion yet because I haven't used them enough to say. This is just all preliminary testing. My observations so far are that the BC paints and the Irresistables Heat Set Paints, I don't see any difference in them. I really don't. I could find more differences as I go along. Maybe the fact of different colors. Can I say I don't like them right now? I don't like them as good as Genesis right out of the go. I can say that. Can I say that they are not workable? I think that they both need a thinning medium, not just an odorless thinner or citrus thinner like I use. So if they have a thinning medium in their line, yes, get it and try it and see if that solves the issue that I've run into with the grainy, gritty look. If it does not solve your issue, the Xodus thinning medium that I tested with it today does solve the issue. So go over to McPherson's and stock up on that. If you have some of the old Genesis thinning medium, that would probably work. I do have some of the Genesis new formula thinning medium, which will probably work, but you have to fight the sheen of it. All the new products have sheen. And then there's the deal that these paints need to be heat set for at 265 for 9 minutes, and the new Genesis products, that's a higher heat for them, so they don't do well with that time, so they're not real compatible in that regard. The other thing that McPherson's has said in the videos that I've watched of theirs is that their thinning medium solves all the issues with the new formula of heat set paints that Genesis did put out before they quit and discontinued. So if you've got any of those new formula Genesis paints using their thinning medium, the new Xodus thinning medium will solve all the stringy problems that people were having with those paints, and that makes them all work wonderfully. The other thing I have learned is that all heat set paints are not completely and totally permanent, as in permanent to not coming off with odorless thinner or something if you scrub them. None of them, including Genesis, are totally permanent until after they've air cured for a while, even though you do heat set them. You heat set them, and that probably gets them about 80% cured, and then they need some air cure time for the rest of the way. So any of you that go around doing your little Q-tip tests, you're going to notice that with any of them, including Genesis, that you can pull paint back up, and that's just the way it's always been. So don't freak about that. But if you're pulling more than just a hint of paint back up, then something's not quite right. So you shouldn't get more than just a hint. And if you're not sure, totally sure, then heat set it, do some test pieces, heat set whatever you're testing, and then lay it aside for a week and then go back and test it and see if it does better that way for you. So that's the other thing. Alrighty, that's all I got to say about all that for now. I'm gonna edit all this, like I said. I'm gonna heat set these, post some pictures. Feel free to write me. Any of you guys that figure out anything along the way that helps us all, please share it with everyone. And as I learn things, I'll be posting them on my pages as well. But I think we're all going to be okay. I think that we've got some good products here. I think that my advice to anybody is don't get tunnel vision. Don't get tunnel vision and say, I can only use this brand. I'm going to only be loyal to this brand because this is what, don't do that. Be broad-minded, and let's all realize that we're a community, that we need to, we're all looking for something to replace something we all dearly loved and lost. And so be willing to mix and match things, because like I said, that's what I always did in the air dry world. I mixed and matched things and made things work for me. And I will continue to do that with this. And so with all this stuff I've bought, I've already figured out, just sitting here playing with it, that I can make it work. I now see that these pigments that I have right here are not quite as dark as what I'm used to, or as intense as I'm used to. So it's going to take some getting used to. For hair painting, I'm probably going to say that I'm going to have to stick to my Genesis for that. Thank God I've got a lot of it. The other thing is that I can always get some new formula Genesis. There's still some of that floating around out there, and mix it with the Xodus thinning medium or something like that to make it where it works. And that's what I'll probably be doing, unless somebody tweaks their formula and makes them a little more rich for hair painting for those colors. And then there's, always new companies coming out, or companies coming out with new products every day too. So lots to look forward to. Have a good one. Love you all. I will see those of you that are coming to Dolls of the World Expo in June. I'm going to be there at table 87 and 88, and my babies will be there. I have 6 vinyls that I've painted, a 7th one that is a refurbished one that I bought and redid. And then I have, I think it's 7 various different types of little silicone, big and small little silicones. And then I have some bags and some blocks and some pacifier straps. So come see me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.